Hey, you, friends, family, and strangers, welcome to the museum at Fort Ancient here in Oregonia, Ohio. It is a building filled with Native American information, artifacts, exhibits out in the absolute middle of nowhere. There's also a nature preserve here on site as well. Let's go check it out. Gather your things and let's do it.
You're a loser.
Out here on the front steps, there is nary a person to be found. I've seen a couple people park and come and go, but nobody's been up here yet. I've been out here playing on my phone. I need to make my debit card worth some money real quick so we can go in and pay an admission and check out the museum.
So it's just going to be $8 today for the park.
Those mounds we were looking at earlier outside down the road, right up there, it says early Europeans didn't think they could possibly be from the woodland people because they believe that the natives were too savage to have built the mounds. They're too savage. They couldn't possibly build a mound of dirt, they said. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, in yesterday's video, I stopped before I got here and photographed these actual mounds outside, just right down the road from where we're at right now. And there's probably pictures of it in here as well. Apparently there were countless mounds all over Ohio and surrounding areas used as mausoleums or markets, places of worship, even sports arenas. Unfortunately, according to this, many have been destroyed. One of the methods used to guesstimate how old the mounds were was to at least add the age of the trees that was growing on top of them. If you count all these little rings, it'll tell you the approximate age of this tree. Some trees on top of those mounds were over 400 or 600 years old. So the mounds were at least that old because there was trees growing out of them that old. Here's some cool information about arrowheads and other artifacts. I studied anthropology in college, and at first I didn't think I would like it, but actually was probably, aside from mathematics and advanced math, it was probably my favorite subject in college. I didn't know that was a thing where we learn so much about history through science, through what we can gather from what's found. So if you want to pause and read, please do so. Or just come to the museum. Even gives the approximate guesstimated time frame. We're moving into an exhibit talking about the first Ohioans. Ohio actually didn't get its name until the Europeans came. Ohio is a Native American word which means land of the poor white man. That's how the natives saw the early European settlers, and that's what they called it. Ohio is primarily flat in the middle due to an ice what's the word? Glacier? Is that right? Pause and read if you wish. You know, we weren't there, but at least that's why, at least that's what we think flattened out Ohio. Paleo Indians. Once upon a time in Ohio, there were such a beast. Clear, undeniable proof that Batman has been in Ohio for centuries. The sign back there says that eventually the hunting and gathering was so successful, it allowed so much population growth that eventually the land could not supply the needs of the native people, and they began to wander away from the region or die off. If you are a plant nerd, then you would love this place. All these refer to individual plants. I've always been a lover of biology. The plant study stuff gets hard to sort out. There's a lot of different ones, of course. Looks like some clay pottery was made. Definite advancement compared to forming something out of just a stone, making your own stone essentially by shaping clay. Look at this ancient piece of pottery found in Franklin County, Ohio. Fascinating. Imagine finding this and you would just have to wonder the person who made it, what was their life like and how long ago it must have been. This goes more into the mounds. If you recall, in a video I made called Roadside Oddities of something, I think Dublin, Ohio, the roadside, four roadside oddities of Dublin, Ohio, or 3, something like that. We saw a mound made by the Adena people. Pause and read if you wish. Here's some more mound and earthwork info. Some infotainment for you. Here is a miniature recreation of a giant mound formation, or as they call it, earthworks. All those little slime bubbles represent elongated mounds, and then if you zoom out, you'll see this massive formation, this massive picture being made by the natives. A lot of mystery surrounded by what it means, what's to be found in them, etc. But this is representing an actual site here in Ohio. I don't know if you can tell or not, but the mounds go all over this huge region. Big enough to fit a road inside of in a parking lot. Some folks do firmly believe that the mounds had something to do with the study of astronomy in native times. This is a deep dive into how anthropology exists, how archaeology helps drive anthropology. Pretty cool stuff. If you have time to come and read it and check it out, I do recommend. Here is a miniature native village, if you couldn't tell. Located riverside. This is a replica of what would have been a giant salt pan. The native people, of course, were eventually met with new arrivals. Christopher Columbus literally wrote in his journal that these red-skinned people are very stupid. He brandished his sword, and one of the natives took a hold of it by the blade, cutting their hand open. And he wrote in his journal that these people will be very easy to defeat. That is literally what Christopher Columbus wrote in his journal. We can actually learn a lot by studying bones. I hope my skull doesn't end up in a museum. Just like that. Thumbnail attempt? I don't know. What are you gonna do? So there was plenty of war and bloodshed among Native American tribes. However, when the white Europeans showed up, they brought something unfair in terms of warfare in the region, and that is firepower. It was a game changer, and it certainly did change the game.
The moment that the gavel went down and the Hopewell ceremonial earthworks were inscribed on the World Heritage.
This true story is absolutely crazy. I highly recommend you pause and read.
We're home or we're explaining what we do with history.
This hallway down here talks about some of the methods used to preserve the past. And I think we are at the end of our tour. Let's see, or close to anyway. The goal here at the museum is to fill in the blanks, to try to discover as much as we can at an ongoing basis. Do you have a unique idea that could contribute? Share your thoughts with us right here. I guess too many people shared their thoughts. They are fresh out of pen and paper. They have a little gift shop, but I think I'm going to call it a bookshop. Most of these books are right around $30. Some are close to $60. If I knew I would actually read one, I would invest in one, but me buying a book is like taking a 50-50 chance on it'll actually get read. Settling Ohio, First Peoples and Beyond. I don't know if we're looking at authentic samples or recreations, but pretty cool. I think I found an arrowhead once when I was a kid, or my brother did or something, by a lake. And we thought it was the coolest thing. Or maybe my dad found it or something like that. I wonder whatever happened to it. We definitely kept it. They have a classroom presentation area of sorts back here on the far other side of the museum. Looks like some cool interactive things. Information about trees, I believe. Red maple, tulip poplar. Kind of cool. I'm assuming that this is a sample of the tree whose leaf has been etched into it. Kind of fun. They should sell these. Not those, but more like it. When I was in school, I entered the science fair in grade school, and I made an adobe hut just like this. I made it out of dirt. I made it with my hands. Of course, it was a miniature adobe hut. Adobe just means mud clay, and it was really cool. And there was so much more detailed information on my poster board than most of the projects. But my project was simply a sleepy looking adobe hut, pretty much like this, but without the woodwork on the outside. This is not a replica of adobe, but this is pretty much what mine looked like. And because of that, it received no awards whatsoever. People walked by. I remember standing there by my adobe hut, very proud, waiting for people to come and ask me questions about it. And every fellow student and their parent that walked by took one glance and kept right on walking. I don't think one person stopped to ask me about my adobe hut. I don't know what happened to it, but it probably got smashed or something after the science fair by me. Look at that. Looks like some turtle shells were used for stuff. That makes sense. Soup bowls and things. Look at that. I think you can take a gourd and turn that into a giant ladle. That's genius. I love it. Absolutely awesome. Some pictures of the moon for some reason. Fun times. There's a fur over here. Looks like something your mom showed me once. But never mind, that's a whole different type of video. Never mind. Quit talking about it. Shut up. There is a replica of a Hopewell dwelling. Adobe walls and straw roof. A heavily pitched straw roof. I can go out there in the heat, but I'd rather not. That's a small area. I don't think there's much to see out there than what we're already looking at. However, there are nature trails on site. I might go check them out for a minute, but probably not too many minutes. And now let's check out at least some of the nature trails here at the museum. What's it called again? What did you say it was called? What did you say it was called? The museum at Fort Ancient. Up front there is signage. This looks like a walk-in trail, why not? Reworking Stone Circle Trail and adding seating area. Okay, cool. Rock on with your bad self. Anyways, there is signage as you pull into this place, and keep in mind, to get here, you have to drive out in the middle of nowhere. That says you are to go inside and purchase either trail access, like this, parking, or museum access. I of which have enjoyed all three so far. However, when I went in there, I purchased only a museum pass. And they don't give you anything to show that you pay. They just kind of take your money and point you over to the right. And that's where it starts. So I'm assuming you can come here and walk the trails anyways if you didn't want to go through the museum. The museum, if I didn't already tell you, was for one lone cameraman, $14, which I thought was pretty fair. You get to see all the hard work they put into getting the information and the exhibits ready. If you really love them, you can buy a $60 book if that's your thing. I went ahead and passed on the literature today. I did a lot of reading actually in that building. But we are now back in the woods on a trail in a town I've never been to before, and in a town that no one knows I'm at right now. So wish me luck. Hopefully it's not some pet cemetery stuff back here, because we are dealing with a heavily influenced by the natives area. An area heavily influenced by the natives, I should say. For example, all this mound work built by natives. What does it mean? How was it built? What did they find inside the mounds? It goes on and on and on. I think I'm going down here a little bit, then turning around before I get lost, because I need to wrap this up and head to today's next adventure. Let's see what's down here real quick. Don't miss your chance to step directly into the Native American giant pile of dog shit right in the middle of the trail. I can understand not cleaning up after your dog if you really don't want to, but why wouldn't you scoot your dog over beside the trail to shit if you have no intention of cleaning that up for people who are going to walk right here on the trail? If you're that big of an asshole, then I guess such an idea would never occur to you, would it? We are out in the thick of it now, boys. I gotta check and see how much more time I have. I would like to walk more of the trail, but at the same time, maybe not. So you are here. So I am there. There's the museum. And it looks like we can just go all over. Perhaps, I don't know. What do the stone circles represent? The stone circles, and apparently there's one close to me somewhere. The sign says that no one really knows why the natives put those stone circles around this region, or what they mean. However, it is well known that there's one actually right back there, or right here. Where the heck is it? There's a sign, but where to go? It is known, however, that a lot of natives incorporated stone circles for religious reasons, so that's probably it, right? This sign right here says stone circle. No standing or walking on these ancient earthworks. However, I don't see one at all anywhere around right here. It's probably so obvious, that's why I'm missing it. I see a circular pond over there. Somewhere, allegedly, there is a Native American placed or formed stone circle. The sign also said that once upon a time, in more recent times, many of the stone circles have been relocated here in place. So, what are you gonna do? This matting down of tall grass normally indicates where deer come to lay and relax. Giant holes in the ground normally indicate spider homes. Something tells me I should have wore shoes out here, because there's holes all through these grounds. I'm just waiting for a snake or something, or the ghost of a native friend to come out. It's creepy back here. Whatever that was just made a loud noise. I don't know if these are cicadas or what. Ugh. Freaky. This appears to be a stone-covered mound. I don't know if that is what they call stone circles or not, or if it's just considered a mound. But this is definitely a stone-covered mound. It doesn't feel like the mounds in this region were used for burial purposes. A lot of what I read in the museum said it was not really known what they were for. Like I said, some people thought it could have been a way to study astrology and whatever. I have no idea. Some things we just can't figure out. It'll probably be debated forever. Or at least until the next ice age and all this gets wiped away. So there you have it, friends. The museum at Fort Ancient in Oregonia, Ohio, out in the middle of no place. A little building packed clear full of Native America stuff. A lot to do with the impact of such on Ohio specifically. So if you're not in Ohio and you don't want to learn a bunch about Ohio, you should come anyways, because I thought it was affordable. I don't know what your opinion is on $14 per person, but I think you should come for that reason, and because you're still going to learn a lot of stuff you didn't realize about the entire world around you and native people from all over the world. Even though a lot of it talks specifically about where you're at, good old Ohio. That's going to do it for today's video. You stay current. Don't become ancient like this place. Keep on keeping on. I'm going to go for now. If you want to help me out, you should share this content around with all your dumb buddies. A growing audience helps me out very much. If you want to be right here beside me, live and in the flesh, then get a hold of me. Check out my website, dougalonation.com. Shoot me an email, dougalonation@gmail.com. That's it for now. We're going to come back tomorrow morning, like always, 7 days a week at 7 a.m., no matter what, with, something else. Not sure yet, but I guess we'll see. But until then, please don't be a Native American. Duh.